Hello, my name is Ryan Swift, and for my senior project, I branded the Cal Poly Transfer Center. In terms of what this project consists of, I will introduce the project as a refresher from Milestone 1, and then go into detail about the 3 deliverables I accomplished. This includes a brand guide, marketing templates, and a workflow standard. Something that was unexpected, but nonetheless addressed was an issue that I ran into during my project. So I will go into that specific issue and how I mitigated it. And then of course, end with a closing statement that is in line with my goal or objective of this project. So as a refresher, the Cal Poly Transfer Center was established in 2020 in the midst of an ongoing pandemic. Naturally, this led to the challenge of building recognition and engaging transfer students with the center. There was a specific challenge in brand development within a virtual turned in-person space and audience. As a new academic center, the beginning years must be consistent and reliable to ensure longevity. As the first and only graphic designer, I saw an opportunity in creating the visual foundation for this organization, one that could be well understood and built upon by future designers. In terms of my deliverables, I had 3. First, brand guide, second, marketing templates, and third, a workflow standard. The first, the brand guide. This details the Transfer Center's visual identity along with rules and guidelines for any public-facing communication. So to develop a brand for the Transfer Center, you must first understand what this center is about. So the mission statement is as follows: empowering and supporting transfer students to succeed and thrive at Cal Poly while advancing institutional support for transfer students. With this, there are 3 goals of resources, which provide and connect students to on and off campus. Community, this goes along with fostering a sense of belonging and community for transfer students within and across colleges. And of course, advocacy. From application to graduation, we must advocate for more transfer-inclusive policies, practices, events, and language. This will increase campus-wide awareness for how to support and include transfer students within the Cal Poly community. Now, as I am designing for a university, there is parameters that I must follow, an existing brand. Based on this, I utilize the aspects of what make a transfer student as a cornerstone for brand element choices. As discussed, these are students who need to be advocated for and taken seriously. And with that, I chose the colors of Poly Green, Poly Canyon, and Farmers Market, because to me, they represent boldness and strength, and they are the more stronger color choices of Cal Poly's brand. And then in terms of typography, there were very limited options, but I ultimately chose Source Sans. This is because of its professional and mature nature, but also it is very versatile in its use. With this considered, this was the resulting brand logo. As you can see, I wanted to create a shape that depicted growth and resilience. This is shown in the growing triangular forms that could resemble guidance of a compass, but also as an homage to the 3 peaks of San Luis Obispo. Now, in terms of a brand guide, this was an adaptive deliverable because the university brand already exists. So in my eyes, the transfer brand is simple. Just to be sure to include this logo that is university approved and make sure it is well aligned within marketing materials. The graphic element aspect I found to be quite dependent on future deliverables, which you'll see next. These are 2 options, one with text and one without. In terms of monitoring the success of this logo and brand, I created an anonymous survey for transfer students in the center over the course of 2 weeks. The survey displayed a strong positive response. These are just some of the responding answers. One asked what they thought of when they saw this logo. These were the words that came to mind: welcoming, nature-inspired, warm, academic support and community, students representation, diversity, intentional, organized, professional, yet approachable, green, mountains, layers, transfer inclusivity, And last, sleek, organized, warm, welcoming. These are just 6 responses out of 20 that I gathered, but I feel like these truly encompassed what my goal was in creating this logo. The second deliverable was marketing templates. Branded marketing collateral templates are for yearly events and campaigns, and specifications will include physical and digital formats. So this began with analyzing the current state, which included getting a full scope of the events the Transfer Center has to offer. So given the short life of the center, there has been a trial and error approach to events for this first in-person year. Unfortunately, this results in too many events, which opens the door to inconsistency in branding. Just to list some that I've designed for, this includes National Transfer Student Week, weekly transfer talks, weekly social events, study breaks, transfer hangouts, partnerships, and more. Now, with all this considered, I worked with my mentor and boss to focus on how we can consolidate all these events into marketing materials that are quarter specific. Now, this is very important, and I have to say it wasn't too planned in this project to go about it this way, but the idea is simple and I believe to be quite effective. Within our 3 quarters, we have 10 weeks and finals week. My boss and I decided to do 1 event per week. That way there could be an overview of each quarter, listing the event per week, and then if they want more details, then there will be flyers that go within that as the quarter progresses. But the most important aspect of this solution is that each quarter will be branded in its own way while still following Transfer Center and therefore university brand guidelines. And this is what it looked like. So for fall quarter, you can see I used fall-like colors. They're warm. It reminds me of autumn leaves. Winter quarter, you can see more cool tones and the heavy use of blue. And then spring quarter, I wanted to create a feeling of lightness and airiness, hence the minimalist background. And of course, the little symbol in the corner you see there. But what's important to note is that there is a distinct appearance with each quarter and associated season. And they are all university and therefore transfer branded in their color and typography. And I found that very important because it's hard to engage students when they see the same type of appearance everywhere they look. And so my goal here was to create 3 very distinct looks that can stay or maintain engagement as the year progresses. While subjective, the success of these marketed templates was measured by the likeness of my boss and mentor, Heather Dominowski, who is the Transfer Center coordinator. These were just some of the words she used to describe them, and that includes sleek, organized, and intentional. And that is exactly what you want to go for when you're showing such an abundance of information, such as, a quarter full of events. The third deliverable was a workflow standard, and this included a detailed design process from ideation to output for projects for future designers. Now, the problem with this is that while the work presented has a reliable brand, this needs to be not only used, but learned. And so once I leave the center, how will I know that this brand will stay consistent? So I decided to create a standardized workflow process for fixed and variable projects, which means fixed is a project that you can know will be occurring every year or, a set time frame. And to start, that will be obtaining necessary info, then inputting that into the templates I designed, making adjustments as needed, and then output to digital mediums depending on needs. As you can see, it's a very clear-cut process because of the ease of those templates. Next is variable, and this is a little challenging because you have to obtain info and then go through a design iteration process until satisfied with the resulting design, and then once again, output. Now, the issue with this was that there was no future designer yet. And that was something I was ignorant to as I had this timeline planned out. I failed to consider the timeline of academic advising and budget constraints. So to mitigate this, I will be working throughout the summer to help interview future designers, train them, and establish a storage solution with changes or as system changes. Now, as I close out this quarter, I wanted to state that I, the sole graphic designer, utilized a realistic work breakdown and timeline to ensure the first standardized brand for this center, one that will be used for future designers. Thank you.